All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Give us a call tonight, 412-575-2600. We're going to continue our NCAA talk, sponsored by Western Pennsylvania Honda dealers. Hoops Madness, and the madness right now, Pittsburgh, is for Danny Hurley. And the one thing Hurley did say this week, he said he wasn't thinking at all, didn't give 1 second of a thought to his potential future. I'm not buying that. He said today that his agent was handling everything, the phone calls and whoever was reaching out, and didn't talk to him about it the last couple days because he was totally focused. Not buying that one either. He knows what's going on. Rhode Island and Danny Hurley practiced at Pitt this week. You mean to tell me that Heather Lyke and maybe some administrators or someone over there didn't run into Hurley in the hallway or in some kind of office at the Pete? I'm not buying that. This is the guy that they like. Now we're going to have to see if Dan Hurley likes Pitt. That's basically it right now. It's brought to you by the Western Pennsylvania Honda dealers. Hoops Madness. Danny Hurley Madness on the show. Let's go out to Butch in Burgettstown. How you doing, Butch?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thanks for calling.
Hey, I can't understand, why does Pitt feel that it has to go for a big name all the time? They
never go to
divisions right now.
They never go for a big name. I don't think. And if you look at this list that's out there, Thad Matta, maybe he's a big name, but Danny Hurley isn't a big name. He's just a hot coaching candidate. He's turned around Rhode Island. He's going to have his choice.
It's the name itself, Danny Hurley.
Well, yeah, because of Bobby Hurley and his dad.
But there are so many. What about coaches like the University of Baltimore, Maryland?
Who knows that guy?
What about Loyola Marymount? These are coaches that I think that Pitt ought to be focusing on.
You might be right. They might be focusing on the guy at UMBC who pulled off one of the biggest upsets.
Absolutely, I think they have more to prove.
Well, you never know. These guys could come out of the woodwork, and I think fans would get behind a guy like that. I'm saying that this team, the university has to hire a guy with head coaching experience. Right now, Danny Hurley's the hot name. He's proven himself for years at Wagner, then at Rhode Island, and he would continue that at a bigger job. I don't think it's a bad decision to go after a guy like that. If they don't get him, then that's fine. Then they move on. They move down their list.
Yeah, but with all these kids wanting to transfer now, the coach's biggest problem, the new coach coming in, is going to be recruiting.
Butch, do you really care if these guys transfer? Honestly. I mean, this team was 0-19 in the ACC.
This is the worst team I've ever seen Pitt put on the floor.
So they could all transfer. This guy's, whoever comes in here is going to want to bring his own players. He's not going to want any of these guys anyways. Maybe 2 or 3 of them. That's about it. But look,
yeah,
I don't blame these guys trying to look for other places. I don't know if they're going to find any, but you can't blame them. They might not want to play for another coach. They came here and they wanted to play for Stallings, most of them, except for Luther, who wanted to play for Jamie Dixon. Maybe you'll see him go to TCU, even though he's a local guy and probably wants to stay local, from what I understand. But I can't blame any of these guys for asking for the release. But here's the downside to it. Say they do get a guy like Danny Hurley in here, and some of these guys want to play for him. He could say, you're not committed. You wanted your release. I don't even want you. I'm going to bring some other guy in here. So
yeah,
there's a downside to asking for your release. These guys should have waited. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They should have waited and found out who Pitt was going to hire.
It seems like the
and
whole
then
team
ask
jumped
for the
on the
release.
bandwagon.
And then ask for the release. But you look at a guy like a Mike Lewis. He wanted to stay and play for Dambrot. How could you not want to play for a guy like Keith Dambrot? A lot of those guys stayed, and the guys that left regret it. So we're going to see a lot of these guys are going to stay. Trust me, if the coach wants them. But I think it's more important to get the right coach in here. I mean, they're going to be bad next year no matter what. It's going to be a rebuild. But can they turn it around in 3 years? That's the big question. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's true. I hope so.
Appreciate it, Butch. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Let's go out to Jerry in Hempfield. How you doing, Jerry?
Hey, Rich, I got a comment and a question.
Go ahead.
The Pirates, 80 games, no.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Wild card, no. The way St. Louis and the Cubs and Milwaukee is improving, the Pirates, they're just going to be the same old, same old. And my next question is, with Murray, with the concussion, the headgear he wears, can they do they design their own headgear, or can they make it a little heavier, not like a football helmet, but maybe something more that, because that puck comes in over 100 miles an hour, can't they design a helmet better, or does the league have a certain way for the helmet that they have to wear?
Well, these guys can pick their helmets from whoever they want, CCM or Bauer or whoever is making these helmets. But a lot of them have protection in there for concussion. I did a story on this a couple years ago. There's like some kind of rubber padding that they can put in there, and it's what they use in bulletproof vests, and it's some kind of I don't even know what it is, what it's made out of, but it's supposed to really help, with concussions. I know Charlie Batch would wear it in their helmet, would wear it in his helmet. James Harrison, a couple Steelers. I think Troy Polamalu did. I don't know if Sidney Crosby ever. I think he tried it, but I don't think he used it in his helmet. This padding. I forget the name of it. But yes. Another thing that you got to be wary of when you're watching Matt Murray play here is he might be a little hesitant after getting a concussion, and but I think that'll wear off pretty soon. But just getting out there and taking shots, that'll get him back into a rhythm. And when guys get knee injuries, they might not want to make a cut on that knee. Same thing with getting a concussion. You might be a little hesitant to really throw your face out there or throw your head over to where a puck might be. So I think this is going to take a couple games for him just to get back into the flow. But concussions are a big concern, and he talked a little bit about concussions in the future, and is he ever worried about it? But he said that's the risk of playing sports. That's what he basically said today. So, all right, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes to wrap things up.